Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're going to take a look at my Game Week 9 team selection. So I hope you guys have had a great international break. FPL is finally back, and we won't have another international break until the January to February period. So the content is going to ramp up towards the festive period as well. I hope you guys are excited for that. And in today's video, I'm going to go through how I did for Game Week 8, which seems like such a long while ago now. And then we'll take a look at some potential transfers for Game Week 9 and see how the team is lining up. So if you guys are excited for the video and you do enjoy it, please drop a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. So very quickly, touching on how I did for Game Week 8, the old rank was 1.2 million and I wildcarded in Game Week 8, and this brought my score to 60 points, which was 16 points above the Game Week average. So very pleased with that, and gave me a massive green arrow up to 643k in the world. So I'm pretty happy to be in this position right now, but of course I would prefer to be higher. So a green arrow is of course a green arrow, and I try to push on for a little bit more as well. And I think the team is shaping up very nicely for the next couple of game weeks as well. So touching on the scores for my players, Turner got 6 points. I think the Forest defense is starting to pick up a couple of clean sheets, and our mindsets towards them needs to change a little bit. I feel a lot of us would think back to last season where they conceded so many goals, but I think this season they are a much better defensive outfit, right? So I feel like our mindsets towards the Nottingham Forest defense should shift a little bit more into them being a slightly mid-tier defense where it is pretty solid, and having Turner at just 4.0 or 4.1 million, this kind of price range, I think is just an absolute bargain, right? So Turner 6 points. In defense, I have Gehi, Udogi, and Cash. So one of the decisions I'm pretty pleased that I've gone with on the wildcard was to have Mark Gehi. So I remember the last couple of drafts before the deadline was when I put Gehi in. So before that, he was never in my team at all. But I realized that the rotation between Crystal Palace and the Spurs or the Newcastle assets work really well, right? So having these 4 defenders that are playable, so Matty Cash, Udogi, Gehi, and Dan Burn, who's first on the bench now, right? Rotating these 4 players and starting the 3 best based on the fixtures actually works really well, and that was the thinking behind going for Gehi on the wild card. And obviously because he had Nottingham Forest in Game Week 8, I started him and immediately paid off 9 points for Gehi, 3 bonus as well. So really one of the star performers of my team, and then Burn with 1 point already. So already an 8 point advantage over not going for Gehi at all. So I'm very pleased with the decision making there. In midfield, Ward-Prowse, Son, and Almiron all blanked. So Almiron is actually one of the key punts that I went for. I could have gone for Diaby here, right? But a couple of reasons that I didn't go for Diaby. One was team value, and another was that I feel like Diaby is someone that I'm not 100% set on whether I want him or not. I could just very well go for him in Game Week 10 if I decide that he's someone I want. But at least for Game Week 8 and Game Week 9, which is the game week coming up, I was fine to have Almiron just as a 2-week punt, right? So of course, if he's a punt, I'm going to give him one more game week. In fact, the Game Week 9 fixture is the slightly better one for him as well. So hopefully he does something in Game Week 9 for me. Ward-Prowse as well, he racked up quite a number of expected assists, but unfortunately didn't get a return. And then Maddison got an assist for the Tottenham goal, right? So I think the big disappointment here in the midfield is very obviously the captaincy decision. I would have very much preferred to have captain Salah, but when I wind back the clock and I go back to the decision making before the deadline, I was kind of thinking to myself it was always very close, a 50-50 between Salah and Son, and at the end of the day, because the decision was so close, I kind of favoured just that Luton fixture. I still felt like it was very plump, right? And I felt like playing it back, I would be more disappointed if I went for Salah and Son hauled than the other way around where it happened that Son didn't hold and Salah hauled, right? So I'm not sure if that's too confusing, but I just feel like playing it back, I would have been more disappointed if I didn't captain Son and he hauled as compared to Salah, right? So obviously it didn't work out that way. Salah got 15 points, Son got 3 points, so captaincy means 6 points. So 12 points lost there, but that's not the end of the world. I'm still very happy with some of the decisions I've made, and the rank is still pretty, a big green arrow there. So I'm very happy with that. And then up front, there's Haaland with 2 points. He blanked against Arsenal. And then Watkins, 5 points, 1 assist to his name. So there we go with my score for Game Week 8. Let me know how you guys got on for Game Week 8 as well. But let's now take a look at my Game Week 9 team. So this is my team for game week 9 without any transfers made. As you guys can see, I have one free transfer still, and I'm likely to roll the transfer. I waited until the Thursday press conferences are over, so I'm recording this just after the Thursday press conferences. I won't make it in time for the Friday press conferences, but at least at the time of recording, we are getting some news as well of players returning back to their clubs, their Premier League clubs, and of course there are no major injuries yet as well. So I wanted to make sure that that was the case before I recorded this video, and I think looking at my team right now, this is very likely the team that I would go with because most of them, fingers crossed, aren't injured at this point in time. Right, so in goal, I'm going to go with Turner here. He plays Luton at home. Once again, very plump fixture for him, and I've spoken quite highly of the Nottingham Forest defense already because I feel like they are a better defense in general. Right, so I'm starting him, of course, ahead of Areola, who plays Aston Villa, and Aston Villa are in very fine goal scoring form. So obviously, this is an easy decision here. In the back line, there's Dan Burn, Udogie, and Cash. Now, of course, I'm going to bench Gehi, who's second on the bench right now because he plays Newcastle away. So very easily, I start these three defenders that I mentioned I want to rotate. Right, out of the four, these three have the best fixtures here for this week. So Crystal Palace for Dan Burn, Fulham for Udogie, and West Ham for Matty Cash. All are home fixtures and all are fixtures that I think these players can do very well in. Right, especially attacking returns in terms of assists for Matty Cash and Udogie, and then potentially a bullet header from Dan Burn. He scored quite a couple already the past couple of weeks. Right, so in midfield, we have James Ward-Prowse, Salah, Son, Maddison, and Almiron. Now, all have home fixtures and very nice home fixtures, except for James Ward-Prowse, of course, who has Aston Villa away. Now, James Ward-Prowse, I still feel, is a player that will continue to take along moving forward in the next couple of game weeks. So, I received a couple of questions whether I'd rather have Bowen instead of James Ward-Prowse. Now, the thing is, for game week 10, there are plans to potentially bring Bowen in and double up on the West Ham attack. So, that is actually something I am considering. So just because I have James Ward-Prowse here, it doesn't mean that I won't have Bowen moving forward. And same goes for Almiron as well. He will be a likely sell in game week 10 for potentially a Diaby, maybe a Mitoma. We'll see what happens there. But for the time being, in game week 9, Ward-Prowse has Aston Villa, Almiron has Crystal Palace at home. These aren't the worst fixtures in the world, and I'm very, very happy to just punt on them for the time being, right? And then Salah, of course, has Everton at home. He is a very, very big captaincy option, of course, but as you guys can see, I have the captain's armband on Haaland for the time being, simply because I feel like the Brighton fixture is so good for Manchester City, and of course Rodri is coming back. I just can't see Haaland not returning in that game, and of course another just kind of a superstitious pointer here is of course that Salah is the early kickoff for Liverpool versus Everton is the early kickoff. So that's also something maybe you guys want to consider. And then of course I have the two Spurs players in midfield. They have Fulham at home. Plump fixtures for them. Now Son of course was limping a little bit at half time when he was playing for South Korea, but then came out for the second half again and then scored and assisted as well. So there we go. I think he should be fine. And of course, based on a couple of sources on Twitter as well, they are saying that Son is fine as well. So hopefully he will be fine for game week 9, right? Barring any late injury news, he will obviously still be in the team. A decision will have to be made in game week 10 whether I want to sell Son or Maddison, because one has to make way for my potential transfers as well. Right, and then up front, aside from Haaland that we already talked about, there is Ollie Watkins who plays West Ham at home. Not a great fixture for Ollie Watkins, but of course it's the long-term potential that I'm going for here. So he will hopefully he gets a return here, but if not, I think the fixtures moving forward will be very, very good for him. Now on the bench, I have Archer first on the bench, Gehi second, and Taylor last. Now, of course, I'm just going to put Archer first on the bench because I think he's more likely to get a return than Gehi getting a clean sheet against Newcastle. But that's basically it. This is how I'm likely to line up for game week 9. Roll the transfer once again and take 2 free transfers into game week 10 to bring in some potential Arsenal assets, Brighton assets, maybe a double up on West Ham, Bowen, or even Diaby as well if he starts to tick along very nicely, if I feel like I want him. But for now, this is it. This is my team for game week 9. Let me know what you guys are doing and let me know what you guys think of my team as well. I'd be keen to know down in the comments below. And of course, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. And I'll catch you guys in the game week 9 deadline stream. We haven't streamed in a while, so I'll catch you guys there. 3 hours before the deadline as always, and bye bye.